hope that today, we can definitely get you more acquainted and just comfortable with why you might want to be using it. But for those that actually said that they have one, you felt some type of reason for creating one, right? Or for those that are using it. So what is LinkedIn and why should we have it? So for those that say they have it or use it, what is LinkedIn? Like, throw some keywords at me or some words. Networking. So LinkedIn is used for networking with else. Well, the reason you came this evening, if you might have heard something about it, what else? Yeah, okay, great. What else? Why should you be on it? Why have you heard you might want to be on it? To find opportunities? Anybody else? Yeah, so maybe getting more knowledge from other professionals, maybe you're connected with them, or maybe doing what's called an information interview. Yeah.
To network, Zoom edition, to network with people in your career field.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Again, like I said, we're doing a hybrid model. So this is new for me as well. So yes, to network with people in your career field. Yes, all of those things. It'll be hard for me to say right behind here. But yeah, so LinkedIn is actually one of the most popular online when it comes to jobs and new careers, right? So it helps people find and share opportunities every day. And I actually say a good tidbit to know also is that having a LinkedIn profile allows for your brand to be at the forefront, right? So I don't know if you all know this, and I actually did it last week because I did a presentation on LinkedIn last week as well. I went ahead and Googled myself, and the first thing that came up was my actual LinkedIn profile. That was the first thing. So that's me controlling my own narrative, me controlling my own brand and what I want out there. So a more robust profile allows for greater opportunities. So in a nutshell, it has three main focuses, right? It allows you to get back in touch, acquire and share expertise, and career management. So if you're anything like me, I want to know the facts. I want to know the data. I want to know, yeah, you say it's great, networking, all of that, but show me the stats. So if you all didn't know, it actually launched in 2003. So in 2023, that'll be 20 years now that it has been in existence. And so LinkedIn actually now has almost 740 million members that is actively using LinkedIn or have a LinkedIn account, I will say. So on average, that's 2 people creating an account on this platform a second. So also some more stats here, 92% of Fortune 500 companies use LinkedIn. So again, that's your Walmart, your Amazon, your Apples, right? 90 million senior level influencers and 63 million decision makers are using LinkedIn. So that's your senior leadership, right? Those who, and it might not, make sense right now for you all that might be students, but maybe for those that may be alumni, thinking about, that senior leadership is always actively using LinkedIn. And then 77% of recruiters are on LinkedIn. So a place where you want to go and be active in networking, LinkedIn is it. So again, sorry for my hybrid folks on virtual, but again, if you're just coming in, I do ask for you to be in the first 3 rows for me, because it is very much for me to try to project. I appreciate it. And I'm picking on Rob right now because I see one of my colleagues. So, all right. So today we'll explore a couple of avenues of LinkedIn. One is getting in touch with classmates, faculty, colleagues, etc. Right? So how can we utilize LinkedIn for what it is, to network? How do we utilize it to, use our profile as our resume? How do we find and apply to jobs? How do we find and connect with alumni? So we talked a little bit about that with maybe informational interviews, connecting with professionals. And then participating in relevant groups. So if you didn't know, just like your Facebook groups, or you probably don't use Facebook, but different groups that exist, LinkedIn also has relevant groups, networking groups that might make sense for you. And then you can also blog and post articles about what you know. So we're going to dive deep into LinkedIn a little bit here. So I'm going to be actually toggling between my slides and between this presentation. So definitely bear with me because I'm using a large screen to be able to do that. So getting in touch with classmates, whether that's, current classmates, former classmates, faculty, colleagues, you're going to use the My Network section to be able to find them. So whether it's people you went to school with, anyone else you think is worth having in your professional network. So I'm going to show you that here on this large screen. And bear with me. All right, so you'll see here, and actually I'm gonna go back. So if you're not that familiar with LinkedIn, or like I said, if you have it, but don't really use it, this is your home page. So this is where you'll get information from other folks that you're connected with, what they're posting about, what they're interested in, your news, anything that's relevant to what your connections are posting about. You're gonna see on your home page here. But here's your network page. So here's where you can see how many connections you have, contacts, people that you follow, things of nature. This is where you'll see who you are connected with. A rule of thumb for me, so you might say, well, Letitia, you have a lot of invitations here that you have not accepted. Talk a little bit about that. So I actually, and this is a rule of thumb, a personal decision for me. When it comes to people that I accept, I try to have some type of touch point of connection to them, right? So, for example, if I haven't met them or can't pinpoint exactly, how we're connected or what makes sense as far as the connection with us, I usually don't accept them as an invitation. That's a personal preference for mine. I also have a little bit more leeway to do that because I have a larger network that I've been able to build. Okay, cursor here. Here is where you're going to see, and especially if you have your email associated with it, and the more that you actually put on your profile, the more that the LinkedIn algorithm is going to help you with trying to connect with people that you might know. So again, I went to ODU University for undergrad, so it's showing me ODU grads. I have my position title also on my LinkedIn account, so it's showing me people who may be in similar roles to me. So again, that may be something of interest to you. I'm going to try to. Okay, there we go. And here's where you can add personal context as well. There we go. So on the left-hand, all right. Who likes to jump? On the left-hand side, well, I'm not going to keep doing it, but on the left-hand side, and if you go on LinkedIn and you look at your My Network, you can go to more options and put in your email address, and based on who you contacted or people that you've been in contact with, whether it's your personal email or your school email or your alumni email, whatever the case may be, you can enter it there to help you with getting more people connected. And if they have a LinkedIn account, it'll populate here to be able to connect with them. So that's what I wanted to show you all with the My Network. So using your profile as your resume. So your LinkedIn profile basically represents a more complete and interactive resume, right? So you have your resume, a lot of times you're very limited to what that resume may look like, right? As far as just words and things of that nature. But I'm going to show you all how to expand upon it and make it a little bit more interactive of a resume. So something I wanted to show you all here, because I think you said earlier that, hey, I updated my LinkedIn because I was applying for a job and I wanted to make sure that it was up and nice so that, when I shared it with the future employer, that they could see that. So something that I actually do on my resume is on my resume header, I actually include my LinkedIn URL. So I'm going to show you all how to actually customize that so that it's not the standard URL that you usually get with your LinkedIn. If you don't know, the standard URL is usually like just a bunch of letters and numbers, things of that nature, but you want to customize it so that it's obviously customized to your name, but it's shortened, right? So that you can easily share it. So I'm going to show that here. All right. All right, this is my profile. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the URL, but then I'm going to just go through the profile and things that you might want to know more about. So if you do want to edit that URL, you are going to see it here, where you can edit your custom URL. And I usually say this, typically you want to just, keep it simple, right? Just have your first and last name to be able to use. But let's say you do have a common first and last name. Entering your middle initial is great. Entering a little bit of numbers is great too. So definitely being able to utilize that is wonderful. I actually had to add my middle initial because there was another Letitia Taylor, which was not all that surprising to me because I actually went to school with another Letitia Taylor in middle and high school. Very, very weird. We lived very different lives. She got in trouble a lot too, the school suspicion. Like, it was a lot of trouble for me actually growing up. But yes, so definitely wanting to make sure that yours is customized. And it'll actually come back to you as well. Let's say that you put your first and last name, it'll actually come back with suggestions. So you'll see, whatever you can't utilize. So I'm going to cancel that. But also you'll see here, you can edit more things like your visibility. So for example, let's say you're working on building your LinkedIn profile and you're not wanting to, show people right at this moment. You can actually toggle this button so that it's off, so that, once you have it the way that you like it, you can actually have that up and running and turn it back on. You can actually also show what the public sees. So again, you can say that, hey, when people Google or people see my LinkedIn profile, if they're not connected to me, all they're seeing is my name, my number of connections, and region. Again, you can change how that looks based on your own privacy and based on your own comfort level. Again, I only show my background photo and my headline. So going back to the actual profile, so here is where you might want to edit what I call information above the fold. So here is where you put your name, your last name, things of that nature, and additional naming. Something that I really like that is kind of a new feature for LinkedIn is being able to add an audio recording of the pronunciation of your name. So again, if you feel like it may be difficult or not difficult, if you feel like people sometimes have challenges with pronouncing your name, or you want to make sure that people actually know how to pronounce your name, you can actually put that recording on your LinkedIn. However, this is a feature that is only able to be done with LinkedIn, the app. So you can't do that on the computer version. You will have to download the app and do that, which sucks, but it is an option that you can do. Also, you can include your pronouns here as well, which is a new upgrade for LinkedIn. I'm glad that they updated that. And then being able to update your headline. I'm going to actually talk a little bit about headlines when I go back to my slide. But you'll see here, I put my position title because I really use my LinkedIn as my branding for my job and being able to connect with alumni. So that's why I put my title there. And again, you can edit all of this information as well. All right, so that's your above the fold. I have my profile photo here, making sure that you have a professional headshot is best. So making sure you are the focal point of that headshot. I do know it's been a while, but I do believe that Career Services still does provide professional headshots for free. If anybody else knows more than I do, please interject. But yes, I know that at one point they were providing professional headshots for free. But I actually had an old colleague of mine actually do their professional headshot at a fitting room in a store, and it was really nice. Yeah, it was really nice. They were dressed up because they were trying on different outfits, and they actually did it on a selfie. So again, as long as you can't tell it's a selfie, your arms not and things of that nature, making sure it's cropped. Again, you just want it to be focused on your face. Here you have your background photo. You can make that again however you want. It's very similar to a Facebook, how you have background photos or cover photos there as well. So again, I use Richmond South Line as that picture because I'm in Richmond, I'm in VCU. But again, whatever makes sense to your professional brand. If you ever needed to build out your resume, let's say you do a better job of keeping up with what's on your LinkedIn, you can utilize this feature to either save the PDF or build a resume as well. I'm actually going to go here is your contact information, which I've always found super helpful, and I'm sure recruiters found super helpful as well, is whenever this is updated, right? So a lot of times, yes, we may have a LinkedIn profile. We may not be actively on it at that moment, but at least we have our personal contact information here so that if they do need to get in contact with us, they can. So I definitely recommend updating that for sure. So this is also your summary section. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but just so you all can see mine, I do highly suggest having that summary section because you can customize if you have it or not, where it is on your profile. I do suggest having the about section. Again, if recruiters or senior level or managers are looking at your profile, if they can see something readily, easily to, identify you or to be able to know more about you, this is where you want to do that at. Again, mine is tailored more so to outwardly brand myself to alumni so that they know how to get in contact with me, things of that nature. But let's say if I was job searching, I might have that a little bit different. So here, you'll see that it really looks very similar to my resume in a sense, right? Like I have my position title, bullet points describing the position, things of that nature, right? But remember I said that your LinkedIn profile allows for you to be a little bit more interactive. So something that I really like that I would encourage you all to start collecting now, if you can, or I wish I would have done when I was in college or wish I would have done sooner, is being able to just collect different projects or different things I can link to. So for example, I've added different media, different photos, different actual presentations that I've actually been a part of. So you can definitely add those here as well. Again, whatever you can do to expound upon, your position of what you've done. So whether that's maybe even the website to that company, or maybe it's a project that you worked on with that company, or if you have photos from it, you worked on a paper or a project for that whatever volunteer or company position. Definitely add those here. So again, you'll see that I did that a couple of times throughout. So this is just showing all of my different positions. And you know how, like on a resume, they typically say, you want to keep it to a one page or keep it to a certain amount. That's not the case here with LinkedIn, right? You have the option of being able to, really go for the longevity of everything that you've been involved in. Again, that's a personal choice of what makes sense to you and what you want to put. You do not have to put every job. Let's say you do not have a good report. you did not leave a position on the best, foot. You don't necessarily have to put it there. It's your brand. This is your optional of being able, it's optional of what you put on your LinkedIn profile. But you also don't want to lie. So we can get into a whole conversation of that, but just wanted to put that out there. Again, for your education, you can obviously put more content here as well. So you can put, your GPA, any activities that you were a part of, descriptions. Again, it allows for you to add those media to this as well. So I would say this for my students that are in the room, it might make sense. So for me, I don't necessarily do that because now I have a little bit more of my career that's like actually slated for each position that I've done. But let's say student organization positions that you held in religion, you might want to put that in your actual experience and talk about them separately than putting it here under your university as one lump. Does that make sense? So maybe as you get older or as you progress in your career, you might want to transition it to this spot here. But again, if it doesn't necessarily fit into a position or some club or organization you've been a part of, definitely consider adding it here. If you have any licenses, certifications, you can add them here as well. Volunteer experience, you can add those as well. So, and I believe, again, it's the same type of, so actually with the volunteer experiences, it doesn't allow you to add media. So again, if that's something that you want to do, again, let's say you were a lead volunteer in blah, 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 service project, you might want to single that out as an experience because you might have some more interactive things that you want to include in that. But let's say you did a volunteer opportunity that was a little shorter or not as much of a significance, you might want to include that here. So here you have skills and endorsements. I have a love-hate relationship with skills and endorsements, just because one, it's great that you can definitely go ahead and, select here, like what skills that you feel like, you have or that you can contribute to a company or to a job. However, when it comes to endorsing, people are able to endorse your skill, whether they've seen it or not. But something you can do, let's say, for example, you want certain skills to float at the top of this, you can pin them and make it so that those are the ones that are shown. Because it's not going to show all of them off the bat, but you can show the top 3 here. And if you're having, struggles being able to find like, all right, like what skills or skills do I have or, skills that I want to showcase, I definitely, and we'll get into this, but definitely being able to use that Find Alumni feature and being able to see, folks who are in the industry that you want to pursue. Even thinking about your classes or thinking about the things that you're learning in the classroom, are those things that you can highlight here as well. Recommendations. Here is where you might want to actually ask for those recommendations. You can, let's say you have a supervisor that you're connected with here on LinkedIn, or it doesn't even have to be a supervisor. It can be a coworker. It can be somebody that you supervise. Let's say that you are a lead RA and you have a staff of other RAs, things of that nature. You can ask for them to provide a recommendation for you to talk about your leadership or your skill set, things of that nature. Something that I do recommend, let's say that you are, maybe awarded for something or that, somebody nominated you for something, definitely ask them like, hey, thank you for that nomination. Do you mind adding that to LinkedIn as a recommendation? So anytime I get nominated for something, I actually ask for them to write it on my LinkedIn. So it's not something you have to do when you're, actively job searching. I think a lot of times people think, oh, are you getting a recommendation because you're trying to leave? No. I just want to have it so that, you know, when I do want to look into other opportunities, it's already there. And let's say somebody, because it does have the option for someone to provide your recommendation without you asking, you do have the option of asking them to edit some things or having the option to even not show it on your LinkedIn. And then here are accomplishments, so organizations you may be a part of, courses, honors, awards, projects. Again, it's an interactive resume. So again, maybe you worked on a project with other classmates or with other people in your job. If you're connected with them on LinkedIn, consider adding them also to this project, or if they have it on their LinkedIn, having them add you so that it shows up on yours as well. And interests, all of that. So there's more things that you can add. I think this is going to help me. So yeah, you can add other sections as well. There are things that I don't necessarily even have that I don't have showcased here. So if there's any other skills or things that you might want to include, I know there's an options for like patents and languages, things of that nature. So you can always add those here as well. Again, what makes sense for you? How do you want to brand yourself? Okay, so that is your profile as your resume. Go back here. So remember we talked about, you know, having a LinkedIn header and, you know, just thinking about that. So for me, like I said, I have it as my job title. So actually, if you are signing up for LinkedIn as a student, it actually automatically will set your default headline as student at VCU or student at, you know, wherever. But you notice here, it doesn't contain any keywords. It doesn't stand out. So if somebody was looking or, you know, wanting to identify, you know, how you would be an asset to their company, it's not really providing them with much at all, right? So we want to be able to do a little bit more with that. We want to be able to highlight, optimize our LinkedIn header. So here are some examples that I thought could be useful depending on, you know, again, what you're doing or what you're trying to do. So for example, can you, you know, put that you're an aspiring project manager, right? Like that is a career that you are setting yourself up for, right? So can you utilize that wording? Saying you're a senior at Virginia Commonwealth University and that you're experienced with these skills. Again, whatever that you can use, especially in your headline or, you know, above the fold, as I said, you know, that's what you want to use, especially for recruiters. If they're on LinkedIn and they're actively looking for folks to fill positions, they're not going to be on your page for long. So whatever you can do to get their attention first before they even come to your entire profile, that's what you want to do. But again, you want to be able to utilize keywords that make sense for your industry as well. So again, this is an example of one. So let's say if you do freelance work, you could include that here. So if you have experience with the job you want, so let's say that you know, done an internship in this, or, you know, can you put that, you know, aspiring software developer, or I've done freelancing, mention the job title. If you don't have experience yet, like I said, can use the terms like entry level or aspiring. Again, it depends on how much experience we're talking, that I would put actually entry level, but definitely think about aspiring. Again, it's just being able to use those keywords, which are super important. So again, if you have any skills that you can use, adding additional hard skills, and like I said, I feel like I keep saying this word, but it is very important keywords that prospects and recruiters may search for. And also a key term is hard skills, right? So soft skills might be communication, leadership, things of nature. But if there's a skill that is specific to what you can do or what you are learning in the classroom, things of that nature, put those in your headline as well. Again, mentioning industry specific words that you expect recruiters to search. So I'm going to show you some more examples as well. So here, something that I just wanted to make sure you all understand is you don't want to focus on what you don't have, focus on what you do have. So I see relevant work experience from the beginning, right? So I'm going to assume here that this person is going into the education field or teaching, things of that nature. So I see that, they are a teaching assistant. And that's their desired industry, is teaching. So again, even if that's what you want to put, if that's the career path or industry, again, that's keywords that you have. So I know that before we were looking at some that were, very, very specific and very detailed. You might not have that right now, and that's okay. Can you put whatever position or student worker job that you might have right now? Things of that nature. So here, with this example, this person, just to give you all some more context on it. So this person actually freelances and actually created her brand in that space. And so she shows some level of experience that with her freelancing, she is the lead consultant and blah, 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 and doing that. She's a Master of Cultural Studies candidate. So I know exactly what credentials she's about to have and when that is about to take place, 2021. So again, those are just some examples and different examples that you can utilize in your actual headline. Here is some more examples, not of headlines, but remember we talked about that about section and being able to utilize that. So again, this is a sample student page that LinkedIn once used, or actually I think a university that I connected with utilized this. But being able to talk about, hey, this is what I do. I'm a second year student at this university. I have an interest in this, and I'm seeking an internship to be able to apply XYZ. So again, they're using key terms in that about section as well. And then also highlighting their specialties. All right. So again, whenever you can highlight any skills, any specialties, being able to do so in that above the fold is so helpful for recruiters or hiring managers, things of that nature. Here's another one as well. This is from another university. So I really like their summary in making it a story in a sense. So I've been interested in all things communication related since the first time I touched a copy of the Columbia Tribune. So again, can you make it a story and being able to share your experiences that way? They still highlight key skills and keywords and things of that nature and what they plan on doing once they graduate. And they talk about, hey, I'm currently seeking a summer internship in this type of industry, and I would love to connect with you. So again, can you put your own personality, your own flair into that as well? And hopefully we can send these slides out to those that attended both virtually and in person so that you can have some of these examples to be able to utilize in your own. So LinkedIn, if you did not know, also has a job board on it. So, how much time do I have for this presentation?
Like a little over 15 more minutes.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. So if you didn't know, you can also find jobs on LinkedIn. So you can utilize it. Let's say you want to put a certain industry. I'm just going to put internship for right now, just for the sake of it. But you can look to see all the different internships that come up as well. And then they posted experience level, company, if it's on-site, remote. But let's say if you're actually looking for an actual industry that you're searching for a job, you can filter by that. So you can search for internship, or you can search for entry level. And you can search for the company as well. So it gives you a lot of options to be able to do that here. Alrighty, so I just wanted to let you all know that you can utilize it as that. And something that I found helpful with LinkedIn, I mean, it depends on the job. It's not always actually true or it actually works out, but I found more times than not. Let's say if I'm looking for a job on Indeed, they don't necessarily post the hiring manager or who the position reports to, or, just an actual name that you can maybe address your cover letter, your resume materials to. But sometimes on LinkedIn, I have found it actually more HR or hiring managers are actually being able to be seen on the actual posting on LinkedIn. So I would always check, because a lot of times these jobs are posted in multiple places. So if you're looking for a position that's on Indeed, looking to see if it's also on LinkedIn and seeing if you can find a hiring manager or find somebody to actually address. I've always found that helpful when you're actually setting up or presenting your cover letter or applying with the cover letter to say, instead of saying to whom it may concern, we try not to do that. We try to actually find the actual person to address. So I have found it more times than not that LinkedIn helps with that. So, we go to right there. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to find and connect with alumni. So yes, it's great to get back in touch with old colleagues. So we'll talk a little bit about that and connect with everyone at your current workplace or your current classmates. But it's even better if you have the opportunity to discover new professionals, right? So either locally or internationally, that may be able to help with your professional endeavors. So I want to show you all this really neat tool if you did not know. So you can actually search Virginia Commonwealth University and search for alumni here. And you'll see that over 100,000 alumni are coming up here, right? So you'll see where they live, where they work. Show more. If you go next, what they do, what they studied, what they're skilled at, and how are you connected. So just to give you some background knowledge, as far as how you connect this, right? So in regards to, let's say if me and Sarah were connected on LinkedIn, which we are first connections, right? So, but let's say I'm connected to Sarah, but Sarah's connected to Rob. Rob is then my second connection. All right, so I'm not necessarily connected to Rob on LinkedIn, but she is, and I can always ask Sarah for an introduction or being able to connect us. So that's how first, second, and third connections go, just so you know. So here, again, is what you're able to see those alumni profiles and who comes up for you. So let's say you're looking for someone that's in healthcare. That's okay. So then you see those alumni that come up. Let's say that I am looking to move to New York, or I'm interested in connecting with somebody in New York. That's, maybe that's where my home is, things of that nature. So again, it allows for you to connect with those folks a little bit more. I would say this, let's say that you plan on connecting, I'm just going to use this person for example. you can message her. Not gonna use that. I'm gonna do connect. So let's say that I want to connect with them. Always before you connect with someone, especially if you don't really know them, like you can't really say, oh yeah, that's Ashley. If you don't have that type of relationship, adding a note as to why you want to be a connection with them. Always a good rule of thumb. Maybe, and even saying, again, since you're using the Find Alumni tool, even you can say, hey, I see that we went to the same university, or I'm a current VCU student, and I see that, you're a VCU alumni. Go Rams. Would love to connect to learn more about blah, blah, blah. Right? So it doesn't have to, be very, very hard in the sense it can be a simplistic note, because you only have 200 characters. So, being able to just add a note is helpful. So again, that is that Find Alumni feature that I've actually found super helpful. I always like to tell this story. I'll make it brief, but when I was working as a fellow, it was a fellowship program that I was in down at University in North Carolina, I actually used this Find Alumni tool and searched for alumni from Old Dominion University. And I actually was able to connect with a person that was working at Chapel Hill at the time that did exactly what I wanted to do, was in the industry that I was hoping to have a full-time position in. I reached out to her, asked her if, we could meet so that one, I could, just get more insight into what she does and do an informational interview, but if she wouldn't mind looking over my resume. Not for her to hire me, but so that I could utilize it and make sure that I have what I needed to have on my resume. So we were able to connect before COVID. We had coffee, and so we were able to connect and everything, and we kept in touch, right? So if you're going to do that, don't just connect with them and leave them, high and dry. Stay in touch with them. You never know how that relationship is going to foster. So I, made sure to stay in touch with her. I let her know some of the places that I was applying to. One of those places actually being Virginia Commonwealth University as a position I was applying to. And she actually didn't tell me that she knew somebody in the actual office that I was applying to. I got to my interview, my in-person interview, and one of my then colleagues told me like, oh, Christy already told me so much about you. Didn't I know that they were connected? She didn't even actually tell me. And so again, you never know how, just being able to connect with somebody that was a stranger to me and then being able to utilize my alumni network and connecting with her, how it blossomed into my first full-time job. And 5 years later, I'm still here at VCU. So definitely wanting to talk about utilizing that. But if you didn't see my note, shameless plug, have you heard of VCU Link? If you have not, I highly encourage you to utilize this feature or this software, because so you have LinkedIn, and I've been talking about LinkedIn because I know that that's what the session is on today. However, if you have not already heard, VCU Link is actually I would say a community that replicates in a sense LinkedIn, but it's just for VCU students, alumni, community members, things of that nature. So VCU Link actually allows for, how like we did the searching on the Find Alumni feature and things of that nature. This is a little bit more easier to be able to find alumni. Because one, it's majority alumni. And even our alumni that's on the screen, you can actually utilize it as well. Let's say that you are looking to change or transition jobs, or you may be recently graduated and looking to change it to a new career, or looking to still gain information from alumni. You can utilize VCU Link as well to be able to do that. What I actually like about VCU Link is that the filters are a little bit more relevant to what I might want to be able to find people for. So for example, I can look at, different health topics of what they're willing to help me on, right? So what if I'm looking for, somebody to mock interview me, or look at my resume, or somebody that's done study abroad? You can filter by that. You can filter by your actual college or school, any affinity programs, gender identity, racial, ethnic identities, what activities were you involved with. Again, you can get as specific as you want. I will have this caveat. The more specific you get, the less amount of people it is, right? So try to find similarities, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that, they are in your exact field, but you never know who somebody is connected to. But again, I like the filtering, especially of racial and gender identity. I know for me, it's important for me to be able to connect with people that look like me or that I can, resonate with. So definitely being able to utilize that is a highlight. And also with VCU Link, you can see, information about the person and their experiences. But unlike LinkedIn, is actually going to give you templates, right? So sometimes we might not know exactly, what we're going to say or what we're saying to, somebody that we've never met. But being able to utilize these templates really helps you be able to start that conversation. Obviously, you can edit, and I would encourage you to edit so that it's not just copy and paste, edit it to what makes sense for you. But you can utilize that as well. Also, the difference with LinkedIn is that you gotta wait for them to connect with you. It's not just an automatic connection. Everybody's not necessarily on LinkedIn. With VCU Link, these people have raised their hand to say that, I want to be able to help you, or, I want to be connected with you. And it goes directly to their email. But again, just like with LinkedIn or with any platform, let's say you connect with somebody or you reach out to somebody and that one person doesn't respond back. Don't just throw the whole thing away. You're going to always be, just like you're applying to jobs, right? Everybody doesn't call you back. So you want to be able to utilize it, but make sure that you are definitely utilizing it and reaching out to multiple people that makes sense for you. All right. So I have like 5 minutes. So what are the most relevant things I want to talk about? So how to connect with alumni, participate in relevant groups. So I'm just going to show you very quickly how you can look at the groups on here. So if you did not know, there are different groups that exist within LinkedIn. And so you can search. There's so many. There's not, I even have some groups here that are relevant to my industry, but it has something to do with my personal life as well. So it's like women who are in my sorority, but actually are active in my industry as well. So again, let's say you want to find folks who are have groups that pertain to your industry in healthcare or your industry in engineering, things of nature. You can utilize this to be able to be a part of and find more people to connect with, to network with. And they may be posting jobs, they may be posting opportunities, things of nature. So again, it's just widening your network. Know that some people have groups that are closed and some people have groups that are open. So you might have to just, wait for them to actually allow for you to join. And the last thing that I was going to mention is that LinkedIn, again, we talked about this branding, right? And being able to, have the narrative of your own brand and, what you want out there. So I encourage you, share articles, post articles, blog about, what or what makes sense in your industry. So I was actually going to show you all an example of how I did that. So again, like I said, back when I was at Elon, I was doing a lot of posting of blogs and articles of that nature. So, articles, there we go. So I actually did an article that was similar, and again, this was my personality and what I enjoy, what I love, right? I am a Beehive card carrying member, right? So love Beyonce, but I wanted to integrate, my industry within it as well. So I actually did resume tips with courtesy of Beyonce. So I utilized Beyonce song lyrics or titles to talk about different resume tips, and it got over 1,000 views. Not a lot, but I mean, it's more views than I thought that I was going to get on something that I just enjoyed doing. So again, if you are looking for ways to publish and get your name out there, branding, things of that nature, definitely utilizing LinkedIn to do that. So talking about formatting with formation. I mean, this is old now, but formatting with formation, flawless, upgrade you. So again, if you can utilize this and being able to, make your own name and professional credibility, I would definitely say to do that. But even if that's not your lane, even sharing or liking or commenting or posting, other folks that you're connected with, definitely doing that so that you remain relevant and you can show that you're actively utilizing LinkedIn. So I wanted to let you all walk away with 5 reasons why I feel like you should utilize LinkedIn. Again, we talked about hiring managers, those recruiters are looking at your LinkedIn profile, even if you applied another method, right? So you can apply via LinkedIn, but being able to, have your LinkedIn profile in order is great because those hiring managers are looking for that. And like I told you all, I Googled myself, the first thing that came up was LinkedIn. So hiring managers are looking. The best companies recruit on LinkedIn. We talked about a lot of those Fortune 500 companies are on LinkedIn. And a lot of companies in general, utilize LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an easy way to keep in touch with your network. So again, if you want to keep in touch with, classmates that you are, coming across and being able to see where they go and, how you all can stay connected, how you all can network. Definitely being able to use LinkedIn for that. LinkedIn is an amazing research and information tool. Again, so being able to just research and look at other jobs or look at other people. Again, when we looked at the Find Alumni, definitely take a look at alumni that, you want to follow in their footsteps and being able to look at their skills, things of nature. Look to see what are the gaps that you don't have and that, you are wanting to gain. So definitely using that as a research and information tool. And you'll never see what you're missing if you don't have a LinkedIn. So I would like to thank you all so much. I hope I did not bore you to death, but did anybody have any questions? I went over a lot without allowing for questions at the time. Yeah, so on my profile, and they can go on your profile and place a recommendation. I would, Sarah said I couldn't pick on her LinkedIn.
You can.
Oh,
It's okay. It's not that.
All right, so you can ask for them this way. You can actually ask for somebody to, or let's say you just ask them in person or, just verbally ask them. When they go on your profile, they can be able to see, provide a recommendation on that section as well. Any other questions? Yes.
One feature on LinkedIn that I am not familiar with. So a lot of times when I go on somebody's page, it gives them a notification that I reviewed their page.
Yeah.
Can you show how to make that private?
Yes. So what Rob is talking about, if you are not familiar, if you don't utilize LinkedIn a lot, when you go on someone else's LinkedIn profile, One thing that LinkedIn does that probably not a lot of other social media accounts does is actually alerts them that you get on their profile. So maybe you're actively job searching right now, or you're not willing to show like the potential place that you're looking to you hide that you're literally stalking everybody. So you can actually go to your settings in privacy, and give me some time because it's been a while. But you can visibility. No. Okay, yes. So profile viewing options. This is where you're going to change to be able to show whether it's yourself. I have no clue why it says someone at George Mason University. I mean, I did go to George Mason, but I don't presently go there, but it's going to show some type of profile characteristic, or you can be the anonymous LinkedIn member that you are. So, just so you know, that is where you would edit that information. It's under settings and privacy. Great question. Anything else? Well, thank you all so much on behalf of VCU Office of Alumni Relations. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I'll be here for a little while if you all have any questions. Thank you for those who tuned in via Zoom.